Thank you, Sad Rabbit. Today's topic at hand: presidential candidates who choose to ignore relevant issues in favor of poll boosters like universal health care and Bush's inadequacies. Whatever happened to feeling the pulse of the people? Whatever happened to addressing those issues which actually affect we, the people? In the recent Iowa and New Hampshire battles, the continuing token theme was strengthening the dollar and creating more jobs for our country's legal citizenry, to the detriment of millions of illegal immigrants. Granted, the candidates didn't address these issues with as much candor as I'm about to. No, they stood strong on curtailing illegal immigration and fortifying our borders. They speak of minimizing unnecessary outsourcing to increase domestic jobs. People, these topics are fluff, and it's about time someone said it. Unfortunately, there are few candidates in the whole presidential race who've come close to nailing the solution. Mike Gravel, Ron Paul, even Dennis Kucinich has been brave enough to stand toe-to-toe with the issue, but none of these brave men have laid it out in terms these poll takers can understand. Simply put, the solution to many of this country's problems, for example, the need to be less dependent on foreign oil, the need to produce environmentally sound sources of fuel and energy, the need to lessen the population of our prison system, the need to improve economic and crime conditions in our inner cities, the need to create viable jobs in this country, the need to minimize the risks of dangerous drugs getting into the hands of our children. All of these problems can be vastly improved, if not solved, by passing one piece of legislation: the revocation of the Marijuana Tax Act of 1937. By decriminalizing, legalizing, reclassifying, and regulating marijuana and its derivatives, we will answer many of these needs with little or no cost to the American people. In fact, the United States spends in excess of $12 billion every year in our tax dollars to fight nonviolent marijuana offenders. There are hundreds of thousands of these people languishing in overcrowded jails simply because they chose to forego the scotch at cocktail hour and instead rolled a joint. I mean, doesn't it make you angry that your government squanders billions of your tax dollars to vilify people who'd rather be stoned with the munchies than to be out drinking and driving? Think about this. In more than 6,000 years of human use, marijuana has yet to result in even one fatality. No one has ever died of a pot overdose. More than 1 million people per year die as a direct result of alcohol, prescription drugs, tobacco, heroin, crack, cocaine, methamphetamines, opium, and other dangerous substances. Even a toddler who consumes an ounce of marijuana will at worst vomit and pass out, as opposed to toddling into mommy's stash of vodka, mouthwash, tobacco, or Percocet, all of which can be fatal. As I always say, if I have the right to go to happy hour, drown my sorrows in a beer, over losing my shirt at the casino while berating myself for choosing to abort my unborn child, why shouldn't I have the right to head home instead and light a bong? I'm over the age of 21. Of course, all this pales in comparison to the countless advantages that legalization and regulation would have on our country. Cannabis and its derivatives hold a treasure trove of economic solutions for this country, such as providing a natural fuel source, agricultural attributes such as soil reclamation, creating millions of jobs in such sectors as the hypothetical Federal Cannabis Administration, multitudes of farms on which to cultivate and harvest the crop that popular science in 1937 billed the billion-dollar crop. hemp products, which already enjoy a billion-dollar industry, and the hundreds of thousands of retail and wholesale careers, which would be joyfully filled by those who would finally be released from prison for their nonviolent marijuana offenses. This country stands to gain back not only those $12 billion in taxpayer money, but to earn triple that in regulation taxes, farming licenses, and reappropriation of federal, state, and local police manpower, to say nothing of the tax revenue generated by the retail, medicinal, and industrial sales of cannabis and its derivatives. Show me a politician, Democrat or Republican, who can refer themselves as financially responsible to this country and ignore the staunch logic of this argument. I challenge them all to offer intelligent rebuttals to these facts. It will be that candidate who gets my vote this November. All those presidential hopefuls who refuse to answer this challenge should not only not be president, but should consider themselves thoroughly un-American, since the basis of most of this country's problems are rooted in overspending on ridiculous and pointless wars on benign substances. The answer, my friends, is growing in the wind. The answer is growing in the wind. Thank you, Sad Rabbit, for allowing me the opportunity to share my views. It was a pleasure to piss and moan.